always been aware of Odyssey as a young kid running around in a dinghy and stuff like that. She'd be over at the South Yacht Club, is where I sort of first saw her, and then she was always one of the biggest boats in the bottom end of the Broadwater in those days, and so obviously it has a presence, and it's always been very good looking boat, so you can't go wrong, as they say, if you're starting with a good looking boat. You always got a good bones to work with.
Well, years ago we owned Dolphin, which was a 62-footer, Norman Wright, and she used to be parked across the road here. And every day I used to say to the girls, we'll buy that boat one day, there's Odyssey. Just a bigger truck, and admired her, and it finally come around one day, yeah.
Craig Black and his family decided to purchase Odyssey and embark on a refit. They approached ourselves at Broadwater Marine to undertake it, and so that's sort of how we met. There wasn't really a plan as such, it was just sort of get it in the shed down at Gold Coast City Marina and sort of start and see what we uncover and go from there. It was well due for a sort of an engine room makeover and things like that, and so there was no question about the fact that the engine room had to be totally gutted and rebuilt, fuel tanks and everything else. So immediate jobs were to strip the hull to bare timber and bottom, top sides, and fiberglass the hull so that it was brought up into sort of modern standards so that it could have a high quality 2-pack paint job finish. And obviously the engine room was to be dealt with. Then things grew from there, yeah, as they do. The wheelhouse originally, the deck beams were sort of at the top of my head, and the roof had sort of collapsed back on itself, so the deck beams were sort of broken or sagging sort of thing. And that meant that the owner, Craig, couldn't stand in the wheelhouse either because he's a bit taller than me. So the decision was made to raise the roof height, and the decision also when the galley was going to come here was to lengthen the wheelhouse. So the wheelhouse has been lengthened about sort of, at least sort of 500 mils sort of thing, about half a metre, just to sort of give us a bit more room to be able to sort of fit in the galley and the stairwell and things that they wanted to do, yeah. Because it was set up for commercial purposes, the galley was hidden away down forward. The way the boat was set up originally, that's where the people worked in the galley and things. They weren't part of the social aspect of what was going on board. But the way that the Black family like to use the boat for their entertaining purposes and that, we don't have crew on board like that, so they do all their own catering most of the time and things, so they want to be part of it. And so having the galley up here and then featuring with the nice big back deck still for seating and things, it works really well for a one level entertainment type area, yeah. Nothing's original here. It used to just have 2 settees either side of the wheelhouse, which made it feel really, I like that too because it made the area feel massive. But since we opted to have the galley, we sacrificed that type of thing to have a different type of layout. But we kept the joinery work in the era of the boat, bar some of the Corian bench tops, which are more modern. So it's all teak and all 2-pack varnish. We always use like 2 or 3 coats of Everdur as our base foundation for a primer as such to adhere to the teak, and then we've got 10 coats of all bright all grip varnish on top of that, and then in places then we've blocked it all down as flat as we can possibly get it, and then we've polished it in a lot of spots just to sort of give it that sort of sheen that we've sort of got from it. We didn't spray it or anything like that. We'd already done enough work without having to sort of try and do that, so we've sort of just got in here and sort of done a lot of it just with brush. And as saying, in the areas where it stands out a bit more, we've just sort of given it a bit of a polish and made it look, yeah, just cleans it up. But we wanted to not change the type of cabinet making work and things like that. It's still sort of what they used to do back in the 70s. We're modernising the boat, but we're not bringing it out of its era that much, that it's a totally like a boat of 2000s type thing. We're sort of wanted to keep with its heritage. All the cabinetry that you see here is all new, all done, and all the floor and everything like that. You just have carpet as the original type of flooring. Then the owners really wanted to have a laid teak floor in here. So the black seam in there is wenge, is the name of the timber, and it gives us that black sort of line that we're chasing to mimic the back deck out on the back. We didn't want to build the 360-degree view out, so everything's sort of designed around the fact that you bar the corners and things you can see out the boat, one for manoeuvring the boat because it's so long. It's a nice boat to handle because you haven't got any blind spots. The original bones of the wheelhouse, as in the sides, the teak work on the sides is original. We just reinforced it. Otherwise we may as well just knock the whole top off the boat as well, but that wasn't the idea. The idea was to still try and retain some of the original features of the boat. So the timber work that you see below the windows outside is original. We've just stripped it back to bare, repaired it, and sort of brought it up to as best quality as we can possibly can. And then everything sort of above is sort of all new. There's nothing on this boat that's been done half-hearted. It's all in. It's it was a huge undertaking. But I think the results sort of speak for themselves, and the owner's extremely happy with what they got. Yeah. So we extended the wheelhouse by sort of 500 mil from its original position to accommodate the galley. Originally had outside seating at the back of the wheelhouse on each side. Obviously this time we've opted to have a bit of an outdoor bar. And it used to have two opening, in the centre line, used to have two opening doors, this stay like this. So we put in a sliding door now just to sort of make the back deck, you know, because we've lost a bit of back deck, we wanted to keep it as uncluttered as possible. No matter what the weather is, it's an outdoor dining, you know, it's a usable space no matter what the weather is. It never used to have a full length roof right through here. The roof originally used to sort of finish in this sort of area here. And so obviously you're out in the sun out here and things like that. So this area now is out at a whole new sort of dimension to sort of being able to sort of use the building. Yeah, that's what the idea was, that they'd be able to sort of eat and socialise here.
We spent many hours trying to even design the stairway up to the flybridge to make it easy for us all, yeah.
Well, I have never had anything to do with the spiral staircase before until this boat, and there was a gentleman working for us called Rob Balness, who basically he sort of had the job of doing all the research and things like that, and he did a tremendous job in working out all the angles and things like that we needed, and then had some really clever fabricators, stainless steel fabricators, that did that part. And yeah, and it all fitted in there how we wanted it, yeah, and we turned out, I'm really happy with that. It sort of, you always worry about these things as you're doing them because of the different sort of curves and things that are involved in the way it looks, but no, the final product was really good. Works well too for this boat. We could have just probably had a straight ladder outside, but the owners wanted something that was a little bit, even though it's got a curve and it isn't too bad to walk up, and they didn't want to sort of walk up a ladder as such, which is fair enough. Basically this room had nothing in it, so it just had tables and chairs. There was just a sofa lounge back here, and it just had some locker doors each side. It's a warm sort of feeling down here, I think. I felt that when it was finished, you sit down here, and when I had a bit of time and there was nobody else here, I was sort of like, it's pretty good. With the timber and then with the windows and everything, it sort of gives it that nice airy feel, and we put the skylight in the top to sort of give it a bit more of that sort of stuff, that feeling as well. The owner he wanted to be able to sit over here and relax, and sort of he was watching his telly, reading a book or anything like that, and that sort of, and this room, this cabin saloon works exceptionally well for that, yeah. Him and his wife would like to have drawers instead of cupboards as such, so that they're easier to access and things like that, so it has a lot of drawers down here. Anywhere where there's cupboards is where it's either got more, it's access to systems and things that we've got to get to in the way of air cons and things, but the rest, they opted to have drawers instead of cupboards, yeah. There was always carpet. At one stage, the owners thought they might like to have this teak floor that runs right through, but I sort of said to them, I think they'll appreciate the fact that when you've been walking on the hard decks and on the hard floors for the day, that when you walk in here, a bit of soft stuff under your feet. And I'm no interior designer by any means, but I even just walk down here myself and it feels nice on your feet when you've been walking on something solid all day. It gives that room that cozy feel sort of thing, warmth. It just gives you that feel under your feet. Yeah. Across the front windows is all original. We just stripped it all back and revamped it all. Yeah. So basically, what you're looking at across the front windows is how the boat originally was. So the engine room was totally emptied, back to a bare shell, and then there was a fair bit of discussion about what engines that were going to go in here, and they opted at the end to have some John Deeres. They're 435 horsepower each aside. The hull's got its design speed. It's always going to be a 10 knot boat, but the owner was sort of, we got a bit more than that just as a bit of a, if you needed to use it, or certainly for manoeuvring and things. So we opted to go with the 435 ones, and they fit in here, as you see, really well. And once again, we haven't got a lot of stuff hanging off the sides of them and things like that. We've kept all that pretty simple, and you can get access all the way around, which is terrific. And then we worked from there with the drawings from the engines to modify the engine beds and to strengthen them, and then get our fuel tanks and everything made. We've got Naiad stabilisers in this boat, so they go back in down the side there, so we've got a cutout in the fuel tank and things to accommodate them. We've got our own generator here as well, and we have all our air conditioning systems up against this forward bulkhead. But I spent a lot of time here sort of just nutting out where I wanted to put things for accessibility. So for people who've got to come and work on stuff later on, and also trying not to overload the engine room with too much gear. We used to have a big set of fuel tanks down the back, which took up the two back corners, and that means we end up with what do we got? We've got 4,500 litres of fuel. We have 1,500 aside here and 1,500 there. And so that's ample fuel for what this boat's going to be doing. Yeah. This is one of the owner would say to me, he'd say, this has got to be smick in here. You know, he wanted it to be really nice. So that's what he wanted.
And that engine room is mind blowing. Not a thing in there that's not brand new.
So this is where the galley was. So when you came down here, you had the galley sitting here on the port side, and on this side here you had a dinette, sort of two-seater, each side with the table in the middle, so you could sit 4 people there. And then forward of there, this bulkhead used to be back about here, and then forward of here you had a bit of a cruise quarters. You had, from memory, you had a over and under bunk in there, and you also had the washing machine, dryer, and that shower was always in forward like that as well. So there was always a toilet and shower sort of up in there, but it was all more or less in one. Yeah. They opted to go for this style of layout now with the 4 bunks for their grandkids. So they got their washing machine, dryer there. They got their toilet around the other side of the door here, and they have it's got like a laundry size sink in there, and they have a bit of a linen cupboard there, and then they have their shower. But this is generally for the grandkids area, yeah. And that can be shut off so that it's a private area as well. You can close it off. Yeah. The timber work and things down here wasn't the same standard, so the owners opted to upgrade this area as well. And so we basically relined all the companionway sides, everything with teak and things like that, and put in our sort of standard sort of trims and things. And then all the heads and showers and everything was all upgraded to brand new. All the above overhead deck head and everything like that was all stripped back to spare timber and a new paint system from the start again. And we basically emptied the cabins, but the layouts are the same. They still just had 2 singles in each cabin. They were a little bit different with the linings that we've put in on the sides and things, but they were just like that too. But our bunks might be a little bit more generous than what they had before, with the size of them. I like this area one of the most because when it's got nothing in it, it's sort of a bit hard to visualise what you can do sometimes with the space, and we have height problems with this one because the way the shear works, but we ended up getting exactly sort of what the owners sort of wanted to have, and where the other cabins are sort of exactly the way they were before. We knew that could work. Where this one, when you take 2 bunks out and then we've got our rudders and things underneath here, and we've got water tanks underneath this bed. And the heights you got to play with and things like that. You're sort of a bit worried about sort of whether it's going to all work out. But when it was all sort of done and dusted, and we've sort of got, it's not over the top. It's not, we don't have mirrors and things like that, and we don't have another TV. We have wiring in the bulkheads and places in all cabins if some next owner might want to put those type of things in there. But the owners were adamant they didn't want to have like another big flat screen TV here and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so we sort of, it's nice without being too over the top. So the original cabin had 2 single bunks either side, and the bulkhead, I'm going to remember too, so the portholes here, the bulkhead was here because it had water tanks on the back of that, and this is also where you used to come down from the deck into sort of this area. There was an escape hatch sort of through this back bulkhead and things, or through out the hatch, and so we pushed all that back to as far as we could take it, back to the transom. And that allowed us to have a nice size, we've got a king bed, I think it is, in here. And it gave us access across the foot of the bed and things like that. Still had two hanging lockers either side like this, but we've just remade them a bit different size so they fit in. When we did the transom extension, or the swim platform extension, that's when the owner opted, he'd love to have a back door in the transom where you could walk straight out. That took a bit of nutting out, but we got that in there as well, and that all works really, really well. You do see that, but you don't see it as well. Doubles as an escape thing, if so needed. Yeah, it works for fresh air, and you still get your portholes, but it's a good sort of if you're waking up at night and you want to have a look around, well, you don't have to go all the way through the boat to do that. You can just step out in the back deck. Portholes were all just painted white when we got the boat, and so the owner wanted everything he likes stainless steel and chrome. So all the portholes were the ones we could use that were bronze were rebuilt and chromed again, and then there was a lot of aluminium ones. So they were remade by Foundry down in Melbourne, and to match. And we've kept, I gave them the option, you could have new portholes and go and get some ones from overseas. But once again, we stay with the era of the boat and the style. So we've got exactly the same portholes that were in the boat originally. Yeah. As I say, when you start with a boat that already had good lines and things like that, and already had good construction, we've just sort of been able to build on top of that to what the new owners requested. Yeah. We made the decision to extend the boat by 5 feet.
And I said to Craig Fielding, I want that. He said, I can't do it. I said, well, I want it. Anyway, took them 3 months, and they put 5'6" in the back of it, put the rear door in, and made it beautiful. Which
gave us the swim platform and everything to be longer, which then allowed the access to the back of the boat to be, well, as easy as you're going to get. And it allowed us to put a bit of seating down here with some storage, and then a nice set of steps up to the back deck instead of climbing up ladders and things like that. So that's what the owner's wishes were. We've got some storage lockers in the back of the seat that you see up on the back deck, so you can store gear here. So this spot is worked out exceptionally well. We cut back into the original boat and so put our planking back into the original boat and did all the joinery, so all the joins, so that you'll never be able to pick where we did it. And then work back from there. So we've actually increased the waterline length of the boat as well to get this section on. We just haven't put a pod on the back of the boat as such. It's actually part of the boat. We've extended the stringers and everything, and the keel, and it's all been done, correctly. Yeah, it's all structurally sound. It's great. Flybridge area and everything is all new, and we made a jig that mimicked the rooftop of the boat, and we built this whole flybridge on the ground. And then when it was completed and it was basically sort of undercoated, where we needed to glass it onto the roof, we lifted it up onto the roof of Odyssey, and it fitted really well. So then we glued it down. This is a great area for them up here. We were in two minds whether we were going to have clears and things like that too, but once again, it gives them another area that they can use, and no matter what the weather is, really. Yeah. All the things you can sort of see here are basically all brand new, bar the front of the wheelhouse. So all obviously this roof, the skylights, the Durade boxes and things that are doing all our air vents are all done by us, but all keeping within the era of the vessel. We opted to put that skylight in there just to give us some more light down into the forward saloon, which we were in earlier. Look there, we've done a whole new bowsprit, anchor winch. So it used to have a old school anchor winch and things like that, and so we've redesigned the bowsprit and the anchor winch gear and all the equipment there, and made all new stainless steel hardware and things all custom made. So the anchor is basically self-washing. If you have the deck wash hose on, it'll work a bit like a sprinkler running down over the chain up forward. It's the attention to detail and knowing the style and sort of the type of cabinetry type of work that you've got to do to sort of retain that look. And so it's being aware of the traditions and things that are involved with sort of what you're trying to achieve. I think I'm really proud of what the owners allowed us to create. Without owners like this vessel has, these boats will slowly disappear. I was really grateful that a boat that's so well recognised and things around southeast Queensland was bought by a family that wanted to restore it and gave us the opportunity to do it, and we've been able to achieve what we've done. And then it's other people who knew the boat as well have basically been more than approved of what's been done. It's a really nice thing when other people tell you that what we've managed to achieve here and things like that's been been a good job.
Craig Field and his crew did a great job. I didn't think the timber work, if you see, all this is all brand new. I didn't think the skill would be in Queensland, if not Australia, but all down forward, saloon, the whole lot. The timber work is magnificent. I'm proud of it, wonderful.